Welcome back to the search to find Britain's favourite view.
One of Britain's most dramatic man-made landmarks is the Angel of the North, which towers over the A1 at Gateshead. It's a monument to the pride of the people of Tyneside. To tell us why they think this area is home to Britain's favourite view are actors Tim Healy and Denise Welch.
Thou shalt have a fishy and a little ishy. Thou shalt have a fishy when the boat comes in.
For those of you who haven't visited Newcastle, you might be thinking it's still all cloth caps and whippets.
When the boat comes in.
But it isn't. When you bring in the Tyne, its history, its people, its accent.
What accent? What about the football team?
Yes, and the football team. When you bring all these things together, the result is our favourite view.
War favourite view.
Our favourite view.
War favourite view.
What accent? We think that our view has got something for everybody.
Because our view comes straight from the heart of our great seafaring history. Our industrial magnificence. It's what we think makes Britain great.
Well, you cannot argue with that.
Newcastle, my home and the centre of my universe for over half a century. The jolly grit and humour that Newcastle instilled in me took me into comedy, acting and eventually away from the traditional industries of my hometown. But I'm proud of my Newcastle roots, and it's to this city that I return to recharge me batteries. And for a couple of other reasons as well. Back in the 70s, when I used to work at the live theatre company on the quayside, this is where we used to come for a drink. Not only do they serve the best beer in Newcastle,
cheers, boss. Thanks a lot.
it's also got the best outlook.
Your idea of heaven, this, isn't it? From here, you can see Gateshead on the left and Newcastle on the right. But most importantly, you can see that at the heart of everything is the River Tyne.
The river joins the sea 10 miles away at Tynemouth. And it's down on the river that we begin our journey to reveal the history behind our favourite view. Harbour Master Mike Nicholson knows only too well how Tyneside's fortunes, both good and bad, have helped shape the fascinating views along the river banks.
Okay, Denise, do you want to drive?
What, you want me to have a go?
Yeah, it's easy, just like a car.
You'll be over the moon if I drive, won't you, Flo? Look at his face.
As long as she doesn't have to reverse. This was one of the great shipbuilding centres of the world. At one time, 2 ships a week were launched from Newcastle alone. 1 out of every 6 ships in the world were being built in the northeast. But then came the 80s, and a recession that changed everything.
We're coming up the area which was, well, once it was all dry dock, shipbuilding, ship repair yards. Not much left now, unfortunately.
The yards lie empty. Many of the cranes that remain on the bank are now waiting to be dismantled. The landscape of livelihoods lost. It's quite close to my heart because I served my time as a welder. I used to go to college with dear release with all the lads from the shipyards. But whilst most of the shipyards lie silent, life on the river has moved on.
I mean, the port itself is undergoing somewhat of a rebirth. Like, we're probably carrying as much cargo now as we have in the last 20 years, bringing in about 2 million tonnes of coal this year, and that's going to ramp up to 3 million, 4 million as a year.
Who would have thought that, though? You know, there was always that old saying, wasn't there? Bringing coals to Newcastle.
Aye, it's happening.
Now the river has started to regain the energy and promise of the Tyneside of old. We never thought that the river would thrive again. And here we are looking at it now in the modern day. It's a wonderful part of the world again.
As we enter into the city, the view shifts from the river bank to the river crossings, with the famous 7 bridges linking Newcastle to Gateshead. The newest of which is the Millennium Bridge, better known as the Winking Eye. The bridge opens about once a day, but this is the first time we've seen it from down on the river.
Wow, look, it's fantastic.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
To see it from this vantage point
Yeah.
as well is just amazing, isn't it?
It is,
The perfectly balanced design of this bridge means that it only costs about £3 in electricity to swing the walkway up and close the winking eye.
The bridge is breathtaking, but it was something else that took my breath away nearly 20 years ago.
And there, look, memories, the Tuxedo Princess.
Yes, I remember.
Disco boat, do you remember that? You proposed to me on that.
I did.
You just leant over in such a romantic way and said, "Sir Flower, are you going to marry us or what?"
Well, a bit more charming than that, wasn't it?
Nah, nearly 20 years ago that was, wasn't it?
19 years ago.
Murderers get less.
The Victorian Swing Bridge was built on the site of the very first river crossing.
Still working exactly the same now as it was all those years ago.
And at 1,300 tons, this is still the biggest swinging bridge in the world.
But there's more to this part of the world than just the brilliant engineering of the 7 bridges. There's the Norman Castle. Wonderful timber frame medieval buildings. And the Georgian splendour of Grey Street, which was recently voted the best street in Britain.
Not forgetting St James's Park, home of Newcastle United for more than 100 years. They call it the Cathedral on the Hill, and I've been worshipping there since I was a bairn.
But life here has always revolved around the river. The traditional Sunday market on the Newcastle quayside has been going for nearly 3 centuries. And at one time there'd be more than 100,000 shoppers down here. Not so many people come nowadays, but for me, it's pure nostalgia.
Shopping.
With a sweet bit of family history.
All right. Oh.
Because my family's business, Welch's Toffees, invented the black bullet sweets that you can still find on the market stalls today.
So I think that you should buy me some black
Right.
bullets for
You're
a bit of
not getting your money,
nostalgia. There you go. Thanks very
Very
much.
much. I thought I was marrying a toffee heiress.
Toffee heiress and she's got no money. Thanks
right.
very much
thank
indeed.
Thank you.
darling.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And the market is a perfect place to find great pictures of the river and our favourite views.
St James's Park.
Thank you very much.
I thought I'd have to get that in.
This is one of the most popular shots that I sell, the Tyne Bridge. It's an absolutely marvellous symbol of Geordie land,
Yeah.
That's right.
and it means so much to all the locals.
The design of the Tyne Bridge was based on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was actually opened 3 years earlier, in 1928. I guess the Geordie builders must have worked harder than the Aussies, eh? And 80 years later, there's still brilliant structures going up along the banks of the Tyne.
But these days it's more about style and function, as Tyneside finds itself reborn as an international cultural centre.
It's just wonderful to see such a rejuvenation. I mean, this age looks like it's made from outer space, doesn't it?
Just down the waterfront from the Sage Centre for Music is the Baltic. It was a flour mill when I was a lad, but it's an internationally famous art gallery now. Conceptual art isn't really my thing, so for me, the best thing about this can be found on the 4th floor. No, not the bar, but the viewing platform, which is the perfect place to see the view that we think is the best in Britain. So it's from here that we show you the view that we believe should be Britain's favourite view.
I mean, look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
As night falls and the lights come on along the river. There really isn't a view to beat this, with its amazing bridges and stunning architecture sweeping down the river.
From here, you can marvel at structures like...
St James's Park.
Yes, I was going to say the Norman Castle from which Newcastle got its name.
Oh, the history.
Yes.
Keegan.
The 7 bridges.
Gaza.
There isn't just one element of this view that makes it special, and that's what makes it special. It's the combination of history and northern pride, industry and ingenuity, passion and stubborn human resilience, and more recently of stunning artistic creation, a phoenix from the ashes.
I think you'll have gathered by now that this is our favourite view.
Please, make it yours. I forgot Shearer.
And you can vote for the River Tyne to be in the final when the lines open at the end of the show.
Stay with